What's up, TexMTB? For today's video, I'm going to be going over 5 different bike maintenance tips to keep your bike running how it should on the trail. So today's video is mainly going to apply to like mountain bikes, road bikes, enduro bikes, stuff of that sort. BMX bikes, some of these tips will help you out, but that's what today's video is mostly going to focus on. So let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so we're going to be using Jackson's hardtail cross-country bike as an example, but getting into the maintenance tips, we're going to be starting with the chain and cassette. So basically, with the chain, everyone knows these are going to wear out eventually, no matter how much you ride, and it's actually recommended you replace them every 2,000 miles you put on the bike. But a good rule of thumb, always keep these lubed up and clean them after every ride, so you don't want to have dirt and grit in between. That'll wear it out prematurely. But another big thing, if you're having any sort of weird issues while riding, look for any splits in between the links here. That's an immediate sign you need to either get a new master link put in or just swap the whole chain in general. Last thing you want to do is have your chain split in a ride or a race in the middle of the trail. That can just be a pain and end up having you walk miles to get back to the trailhead. Alright, so getting to the cassette, this is another component of your bike that's going to wear out over time no matter how often you ride. Biggest key to keeping this thing in good shape is do not shift while the pedals are under heavy pressure. So if you're trying to push up a hill really fast or you're just pedaling really hard like in a sprint, do not shift while sprinting or going up a hill, like I said, or else it's going to put a heavy load on your chain, which is then going to shift it into the next gear and slam your chain into the teeth of the cassette, which is really bad for it and can wear it out pretty dang quick. So yeah, do not do that. So when it comes to changing your cassette, it's recommended that you change it every 5 chains you go through, or equals about every 10,000 miles you put on the bike. This is just a recommendation. It's all based on your riding style, really, and what condition everything is in, depending how well you've kept up with maintaining everything. But you'll know if it's ready to be replaced just by really looking at it and how your bike rides. You can easily tell if there's any rounded off teeth, missing teeth, just any like general damage you can visually see on the cassette. It's not a very complicated part, so it's pretty easy to tell. You'll also be able to easily feel it in your bike by chain skipping, anything like that, having trouble getting power down to the wheel. But yeah, when it comes to actually replacing this though, it's actually very simple. Some of you guys may think like, oh, gotta go take it to the bike shop. But no, really, you can really just get a $15 toolkit off Amazon or a similar website. Really only takes you 20 minutes. You can watch a quick YouTube tutorial. You just take the cassette right off, pop a new one on. Simple as that. So that's about all there is for the cassette. Alright, so the next bike maintenance tip on this list is going to be keeping an eye on your spoke tension. This isn't really something you need to check after every single ride. Most of the time you can kind of catch it by ear if you hear your spokes or your wheel creaking. If this is the case, what you want to do is you want to come and look at your wheel. First, make sure all your spokes are intact, none are broken or missing or anything. If you do have any missing, it's recommended you get a new spoke put in right away because, one broken spoke can just kind of be a spiraling effect and just lead to more broken spokes as your wheel is kind of not fully put together. But if you just happen to have loose spokes, it's not a big deal. Go around, feel the spoke tension. If you feel any loose ones, just get a little spoke wrench, tighten them down. If you don't have one of these, it's a very cheap tool, $10 or less at a bike shop or online. I'd recommend you get one just for the sake of keeping your wheel all put together. But if you do happen to have multiple loose spokes and your wheel is like majorly out of true, you could have a bent rim, which at that point you're going to need a whole new rim. But if your rim is mostly straight, what you can do, just have it retrued. It's pretty easy to have a bike shop do this or do it yourself if you have enough experience. But yeah. Alright, so next on the list is going to be, for those of y'all that use clipless pedals like this or like the egg beater style, really either one applies here. But it's not the pedal itself I'm going to be talking about, but you want to keep an eye on the cleat on the bottom of your shoe, that little metal piece right there that clips into the pedal. So basically, the big thing about this is that with these over time, it's metal on metal. So the metal cleat clips into the metal pedal. So, of course, it's going to wear out over time. I've had this happen to myself too, where the cleat on the bottom started to wear out. The pedals just started to feel super loose. So I was like, oh, my pedals are wearing out. I need to crank them down all the way. That is not what you want to do. If your pedals are starting to feel loose, more than likely you just need to get new cleats. Don't keep cranking this down to the point of no return where you can possibly strip out the tiny little hex screw. I had to get new pedals myself because of that. But yeah, it's very cheap. Just replace these on the bottom of your shoe and your clips are going to feel good as new. That way you also don't run into issues if you like swap bikes with a friend or something. They're like, wondering why your pedals are so tight. It's yeah, it's as simple as that. All right, the next tip on this list is going to be keeping your bike well greased and lubed up. So as mentioned earlier, an important spot, keeping your chain well lubed up after almost every single ride. Also, you want to put grease in your head tube right here where the fork goes through, along with like in your headset and all that. Where you do not want to put grease though is right here where the stem mounts onto the top of the fork, and also where your handlebars go through the stem. You want to keep those completely dry for maximum grip so you're not having any issues with these slipping. Also, you want to keep your seat post nice and dry. I've seen some people for some reason put grease in there and then you'll have problems with your seat moving around. You don't want that. Also, bottom bracket. After a while, if this isn't well greased, you'll start having a lot of creaking and stuff. Depending on your bottom bracket, you can see how to pop it off, open it up, and put some grease on the bearings. It isn't a very hard job to do, but those are the key spots you guys want to keep greased up. And yeah. All right, so the last thing on this list is going to be keeping an eye on your brake pads. This one's very simple. You can tell if you need new brake pads just by like the loss of stopping power, or if your brakes are squeaking a bunch, like a little metallic, like metal on metal noise. That's just a sign your brake pads are completely gone and you're gonna need new ones. They're super easy to swap out. Just look up what brakes you have online. It'll normally say what kind of brakes you're using right here. Like this is the Level ULT brakes. Simple as that to figure it out. What you do, order new pads that fit, unscrew them. There is normally only 2 screws for each caliper. So 2 here, 2 here. You just pop it off and then remove the pads, which is that little metal clamp right there. It has the pads on the inside of that. And then slide the new ones in and screw it back on. You're good to go. One thing to keep in mind though is do not squeeze the brake levers while you do this. Doing this can end up pressing the pads together and sticking them together, which can kind of damage your pads. And it's just kind of a pain to get them unstuck. So keep that in mind while you're doing this. But other than that, you're good to go. All right, guys, so that's going to wrap up today's maintenance video. Comment down below what we can improve on and what you guys liked about the video. But anyways, that's going to wrap things up. Please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching. Yeehaw!